Hi everyone, this video is a recap of Stella Blómkvist Season 2. Get ready for intrigue, investigations, and unexpected twists. Stella arrives at the prison, but she's too late. The inmate she spoke to is found dead. The official cause is suicide, but Stella immediately suspects foul play. Meanwhile, major political changes are unfolding in the country. Prime Minister Dagbjört swiftly replaces ministers with her own people, finalizes a deal with China, and secures massive financial investments. 2 years pass. Stella tries to move on from her heartbreak, but she keeps seeing her ex's face everywhere. After all, she has become the most influential political figure in Iceland. Stella takes on a new case. A woman named Björk believes her late father left behind a substantial inheritance, which their family priest has secretly taken for himself. Stella confronts the priest and discovers an offshore account in his name, but she has no solid proof to expose him. After another tough day, Stella meets a man named Stefan. They spend the night together, but the next morning she realizes a problem. She doesn't have any contraceptives. She turns to a familiar drug dealer, who has now switched to selling emergency contraception. Meanwhile, Gunna, the former hacker Stella works with, isolates herself in her high-tech bunker, avoiding the outside world. She suffers from severe trauma after her brutal experience in Season 1 and escapes reality by immersing herself in the digital world. One night, Stella witnesses a car accident. A young woman named Dilara is hit, but instead of seeking medical help, she desperately refuses to involve the police. Later, Stella learns that Dilara is a refugee from Syria who, along with her cousins, was lured into sex trafficking. Their captors disguised their operation as an aid program, offering housing and work visas, only to exploit the women. Dilara fears that the criminals have ties to corrupt officers, making police intervention dangerous. Determined to uncover the truth, Stella visits the apartment where the victims were kept, only to find that someone is already there, destroying evidence. At the same time, a scandal erupts online. Social media star Alba Noel commits suicide during a live stream. Her devastated friend, influencer Mira Bergman, mourns her loss, but something about the situation seems suspicious to Stella. Dilara then recalls that her cousin, Dunya, another trafficking victim, mysteriously disappeared after being beaten by one of their captors, a brutal blonde woman known as Blondie. Dunya was unconscious when she was taken away, and no one knows where she is now. Stella realizes that this isn't just an isolated crime, it's part of something much bigger. The deeper she digs, the more dangerous it becomes. Stella isn't sure if she can trust Alba. At one point, Alba confesses that Mira controlled her, forcing her to participate in crimes and threatening her with violence. Meanwhile, the police discover Dunya Arif's body in the trunk of a car registered to Alba Noel, automatically making her a suspect. Trying to figure things out, Stella contacts Ragnar and tells him she has a witness, Dilara, a girl connected to both Alba and Mira. At Stella's request, Dilara agrees to go to the station and provides the first real testimony. She reveals that Mira Bergman, Blondie, lured girls in with promises of legal status and good jobs, only to turn them into sex slaves. The girls were locked in a brothel, their passports were taken away, and they were beaten for the slightest attempt at resistance. But before the police can act, a bold abduction takes place. Dilara is taken right from the police station. A woman who came for her claimed to be from a refugee protection center. However, Stella immediately realizes it's a setup orchestrated by Mira. Meanwhile, investigators interrogate Gunna, in whose home Stella previously found Alba. Gunna insists she was just helping a friend and didn't know all the details. However, under further questioning, it becomes clear that Gunna suspected Alba was involved in something dangerous. She admits that Alba once came to her covered in bruises, clearly terrified, but refused to tell the truth. Mira is called in for questioning, but she remains cold and confident. She hints at her connections and makes it clear that if she is charged, many people in the system will have to answer for it. Due to a lack of evidence, the police are forced to let her go, but Stella knows time is running out. Stella and Ragnar track down a warehouse where, according to their intel, Mira is keeping the girls. But before they can do anything, Stella is attacked by Mira's men. She is grabbed, thrown into a car, and taken to an abandoned building where other kidnapped girls are being held. Mira decides not to kill Stella right away. She enjoys having power over her and revels in the situation. She describes how she built her criminal empire, how she lured the girls in and then turned them into commodities. But Stella manages to break free. She notices a container of acid in the room. At the moment Mira gets distracted, Stella uses chemicals to create a smoke screen. Stella rushes to another warehouse where Mira kept the girls. She finds Delara and the other captives. Soon, the police arrive. They lead the girls outside, and Mira Bergman's story finally comes to an end. Later, an official ceremony is held to honor the rescue of the girls. Dagbjört, Stella's former lover, who now holds a high position, gives a speech before the gathered crowd. Stella stands apart, near the stairs, watching the event unfold. Their eyes meet. In that look, their whole history is laid bare: love, betrayal, pain, and something that was never spoken. After a moment, Stella turns and walks away, leaving Dagbjört behind. Dagbjört holds a press conference, presenting a new political project aimed at supporting women and families. She promises tax breaks and subsidies for mothers, stating that her goal is to increase Iceland's population to 1 million. Stella watches with clear skepticism, realizing that behind the noble rhetoric lies an attempt to control birth rates. Later, she calls a medical center to inquire about the deadline for a possible abortion. She is told that termination is allowed only up to the 8th week, but she is unsure how much time has passed since conception. Meanwhile, she is offered a new case. A Palestinian man named Nadim is accused of murdering Israeli diplomat Emmanuel Sharabi. He has already confessed to the crime, but later claimed he did so under pressure. Stella finds out that Emmanuel was poisoned, though the official cause of death is a broken neck. When she meets Nadim, Israeli agents burst into the room, demanding immediate intervention. They cite Icelandic government support and national security threats. Stella warns them that taking Nadim away will cause an international scandal, but they block her, and Nadim is taken. Stella decides to go to the ministry to confront Dagbjört about the illegal deportation. In the lobby, her eyes catch Dagbjört descending the staircase. Memories of their nights together flash through Stella's mind. Their gazes lock, and tension lingers in the air for a moment. Dagbjört quickly regains composure, but Stella notices a flicker of something unresolved in her eyes. Without hesitation, Stella accuses her of allowing Israeli agents to illegally deport Nadim. Dagbjört, after a brief pause, calmly responds that she has temporarily suspended the agents, giving Stella a chance to uncover the truth. Stella thanks her and leaves. Soon, she learns that all evidence from Emmanuel's hotel room has disappeared, seized by a new police unit, LLR, which reports directly to Dagbjört. She continues investigating and discovers that before his arrest, Nadim lived with a woman named Helga Elasdottir. The case increasingly appears to be part of a larger political game involving both local authorities and international intelligence agencies. Stella arranges a meeting with Israeli agents, offering a deal. If they provide her with all data on Nadim, including documents and video footage, she will help them find the real killer. The agents agree and allow her to see Nadim. During their meeting, she tries to get information out of him, but he knows nothing, not even what Emmanuel Sharabi was working on. With no new leads, Stella turns to Gunna for help in obtaining Emmanuel's file. They uncover that the murdered diplomat was collecting ancient manuscripts linked to the Nazis. Gunna finds another key detail. Emmanuel worked for the Israeli Antiquities Authority and received $2 million from Mossad for a manuscript that he was supposed to sell. The deal fell through. He was killed. The most intriguing clue is a rare bag Emmanuel owned, one of only a few in the world. It might be the key to solving the case. Stella goes to the library to research the manuscripts, but Israeli agents catch her there. They accuse her of hacking into Emmanuel's data, making her the prime suspect. She is arrested for 24 hours. Realizing she needs to escape, Stella offers a deal. She is close to finding the real murderer and can help in exchange for Nadim's freedom. The agents agree to give her one phone call. Stella calls Gunna, asking her to track down the owner of a bag identical to Emmanuel's. After getting a name, she passes it on to the agents and, seizing the moment, escapes. Stella continues investigating Emmanuel Sharabi's murder, gradually uncovering a complex web of deception and crime. She tracks down Friedrich Atlason, a wealthy collector who owns the same rare bag as the murdered man. Under the pretext of making a phone call, Stella sneaks into his house and notices many oddities, not only in his behavior but also in his surroundings. Alongside the investigation, Stella faces a personal crisis. She discovers she is pregnant. She decides to have an abortion, but due to new laws restricting the procedure's time frame, she is denied. This forces her to reconsider her situation, though she has yet to make a final decision. As she digs deeper, Stella uncovers a connection to Helga Lang and her father, who turns out to be a former Nazi. A stolen Degas painting had been hidden in their home for decades, and it was this artwork that Emmanuel Sharabi recognized before his death. To keep her family's secret, Helga killed him using an old supply of cyanide left behind by her father. Friedrich, though he avoids prison, is forced to return all his illegally acquired artifacts. Nadim, who was falsely accused of Emmanuel's murder, is exonerated and released from custody. In the final moments, Stella closes the case and makes an important decision to keep the baby. In the courtroom, lawyer Stella Blómkvist is handling a case against Mira Bergman, demanding punishment and compensation for the victims. The session is interrupted by an emergency report about an assassination attempt on Prime Minister Dagbjört. Her car has been blown up and there are casualties, including her husband. Dagbjört herself is taken to the hospital and then moved to a secret location. Later, she records a message to the nation, announcing that she is temporarily transferring her powers to the Minister of the Interior, Solman Haraldsson. After this, Solman finds Stella and asks her to help locate Dagbjört, but she refuses. Following the news of the attack, Stella goes to the memorial site for Dagbjört's deceased husband. A large crowd has gathered there, bringing flowers and lighting candles. Stella watches from a distance when she notices Dagbjört's assistant in the crowd. He invites her to get into a car and hands her a small box. Stella opens it and finds a note from Dagbjört. At that moment, memories of their relationship flood her mind. These memories push her to agree to a meeting. At the secret hideout, Dagbjört greets Stella with relief but remains reserved. She explains that the attack could have been orchestrated either by Chinese interests or her political opponents. She asks Stella to help find out who ordered the attack, but Stella doesn't want to get involved. Then Dagbjört says that she knows about the pregnancy. Stella realizes that Dagbjört has been watching her all this time. This enrages her, but there's no time to process it. The mercenaries find the hideout. They surround the house, and a shootout begins. The attackers kill the guards, and Stella, Dagbjört, and her daughter barely manage to escape. A chase ensues, and their car overturns. Stella suffers serious injuries and loses a lot of blood. Dagbjört hijacks another car but realizes that Stella won't survive if she continues. She leaves her at a hospital, knowing that otherwise she won't make it. When Stella regains consciousness, she sees Raggy in front of her. The doctors inform him that the baby did not survive. Stella tells Raggy that they were attacked at the fishing cabin. Raggy sends his people there, but by then, everything has been cleaned up. There are no traces of the crime left. Stella contacts Gunna. To find witnesses, Gunna organizes a cyber attack on the airport to delay a flight with tourists who manage to provide crucial photos. At the airport, Stella notices Sverrir Kristjansson, the former prime minister, who has unexpectedly returned to the country. Later, mercenaries locate Stella and Gunna's apartment. They use a thermite mixture to break in, but the women manage to escape. Meanwhile, Solman hands over the ministerial position to Sverrir Kristjansson. Dagbjört is still in hiding. Raggy passes through a checkpoint despite the closed border and arrives at the hideout where Dagbjört, her daughter Stella, and Gunna are staying. He brings them food and essential supplies. Meanwhile, in the news, the new Prime Minister Sverrir accuses Dagbjört of a cyber attack on the airport and implies that she staged an assassination attempt on herself. The authorities declare her a fugitive, and the country plunges into chaos. Strict restrictions are imposed, the internet is shut down, and the police are armed. Stella speaks with Dagbjört and suggests that the Chinese are not behind the attack, as cooperating with them was in her best interest. Dagbjört reveals that her satellite phone, which can be used to contact the Chinese, is locked in a safe at the ministry. Stella and Ragi head there. He distracts the police while she sneaks inside. However, the phone is missing. Looking out the window, she sees the mercenaries, who had been hunting her and Dagbjört. She hides in an office just as Sverrir and the American advisors enter. From their conversation, Stella realizes that Sverrir is following U.S. orders and that the Americans are frustrated because they cannot locate Dagbjört. Sverrir's sister, Thora, enters, demanding to know what is happening, but he coldly dismisses her. Stella and Ragi follow Thora home, trying to learn what she knows. She advises them to contact Zölmundur, as he has ties to the Americans. At that moment, the doorbell rings. When Thora answers, she is seized and taken away. Stella and Ragi track down Zölmundur, tie him up, and force him to talk. He confesses that when Dagbjört took Sverrir's position, Sverrir was in Washington and strongly opposed her policies, especially the land deals with China. He proposed a plan to temporarily remove Dagbjört, allowing him to reclaim power and reverse her decisions. The American advisors planted the bomb in her car, while Sverrir was merely their pawn. Later, Zölmundur tries to justify himself to Dagbjört, but she is devastated. Stella suggests escaping to China, and they carefully plan a route to avoid checkpoints. Along the way, they stop at a store where Stella spots a security camera and realizes they have been tracked. They rush out, but soon, black SUVs and a helicopter start chasing them. Upon reaching the Chinese border, they see armed soldiers. Their pursuers stop nearby, unable to cross. Dagbjört asks the soldiers to call their commander, and they tell her to wait. Meanwhile, an Icelandic police officer approaches their car, offering to talk. Stella, holding her weapon, demands that he get inside. At that moment, an American helicopter lands, and an attack begins. Everyone runs toward the Chinese side. The police officer tries to negotiate with the Americans but is shot dead. Dagbjört, holding her daughter, sprints toward the border with Ragi, Zölmundur, and Gunna. Stella jumps into the car and runs over one of the mercenaries, but another fires a shot, hitting Dagbjört. She collapses. The mercenary opens Stella's car door and aims at her, but Chinese soldiers shoot him first. In shock, Stella rushes to Dagbjört, only to find her unresponsive. The Chinese military takes them all into custody. When Stella regains consciousness, a Chinese official tells her that Sverrir is now entirely under U.S. control, and negotiations will take time. Her friends are safe, but Dagbjört did not survive. Walking down the corridor, Stella still cannot believe what has happened. Memories of their time together flash before her eyes, their conversations, their touches, the knowing looks. They had loved each other, and that love was real. She is then led into a room where Ragi, Zölmundur, Gunna, and Dagbjört's daughter are waiting. The girl runs into Stella's arms, and at that moment, Stella knows she will protect her.